Are you working on site at a studio, or are you working remotely at the moment?
I am working remotely at the moment. Actually, since bar a couple of exceptions of studios that insist on working on site in New York, which I appreciate. The rest has been remote, from home, from Brooklyn, from Manhattan, basically.
Yeah, one of the guys, like an effects guy I was just working with, he's a buddy of mine out in Brooklyn. So like, I think he's kind of sold now on working remotely. Despite obviously, a lot of studios around in New York, it's kind of more convenient.
Absolutely, yeah. Who is this person, if I may ask?
Oh, Caius Wong. He used to we worked at Eyeball and Tronic and a bunch of other places on around anymore. PsyOp obviously is
All
still,
right.
but yeah, again, like whenever I go out to New York, got a few friends out there, but it's just kind of fun to actually get to work with a few of them now that everyone's a lot more open to remote work.
I mean, it radically changed the structure of our industry. I mean, I've heard it called, I mean, COVID, the whole experience and working from home was the big leveler to a certain degree for visual effects. And it encouraged, smaller studios coming up and encouraged people to take the time they need and ultimately do their work better, as opposed to, the days of, being in the VFX suite or the project suite until 4 a.m. I feel might be gone. You can still do 4 a.m. at home, but it's a different kind of 4 a.m., and it's a different set of rules and set of tolerances. And
when you are working late, it's like, all right, well, I can kick off a render and then I can go monitor my renders from the couch or something, rather than
absolutely
being at work. And yeah, I've seen so many relationships destroyed by having to just work consistent crazy hours where you can't maintain a social life. So
look, I worked full time before COVID, before 2021. I was full time in New York doing commercials, leading commercials. I was at the mill at the time, and the mill is not the only example. It's not uncommon for relationships to suffer or have suffered a lot because of this. You could probably argue that people suffer also by being in close proximity at home. So during lockdown, it was tough.
Good point too.
I think it was something that we all needed, at least in our industry, or creative people. Not being at home, being in your comfort zone, and still having the opportunity to apply your art as a profession and your craft, and taking your time. I think it was a creative renaissance for a lot of people. Definitely for me in the first year. Then things changed. It wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, things changed a lot during COVID.
I bet. How has that broadened options for you? Like, obviously being in New York, you've got a lot of opportunity to work at a lot of different studios there, but now are you able to take on contracts from all over the world, not just necessarily in the US or Brooklyn, Manhattan necessarily?
I am, yeah, and it's been great. I've loved the experience, and I've loved what doors it has opened, or the way of working it has opened, where location is only a problem because of time zones, but that is also a conversation that can be had, and tolerances to be explored, and wishes to be met or not, and it's been great. It's been great to work for Europe more. And on the topic, I am planning on moving back to Italy, to my hometown actually, this year, and continue doing what I do for the US and the rest of the world from there, and being closer to family and friends. And yeah, it's a great thing that a lot of people are exploring right now, I feel.
Yeah, so if you don't mind me asking, so that's because now you've got the opportunity to be able to work anywhere, so why pay $5,000 for a 1,200 square foot apartment or whatever?
It describes itself as a reality, and New York isn't getting any cheaper. And, and there's a time for everything. I was in my early 30s when I came to New York, and I'm in my late 30s now. I'm 36, and I spent my 20s in London, and I spent, 6 years now, nearly 6 years in New York. And I feel right now it's matured, the penny has kind of dropped for me. I'm just like, okay, this is next.
I think that's good too. It's pretty healthy. Earlier, you're excited to do new things, but it's also a chance to kind of do some damage and make an impact on your career, and then from there start to actually prioritize life over work rather than
absolutely. Priorities change. I never thought. A lot of the time your priorities change without you really noticing it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you find yourself questioning the way you do things from one day to the next. Yeah. And you realize that your priorities have changed. And that's part of, a career, honestly. It's part of development, personal and professional development of anyone, I guess.
Either way, I think that's really great that you're able to prioritize, getting to go home and not have to be necessarily physically in the same location.
I'm glad you think so.
If you are working remote, like what's that like in terms of being able to share ideas? I mean, it's for me, I'm the head of CG as well as a VFX soup at a studio here in Portland, and the head of compositing is right next to me. I'm surrounded by compositors, and it's great because we're always just nerding out and, oh, did you know we got this new node over here, or check this out. It's so much easier when you're in earshot of someone. What's that like remotely? Because you can't really just jump on Zoom and be like, hey, check out this really cool thing really quick. It's, let me send you the link and the password and set up a thing. Like there's obviously barriers in place. So
there are barriers in place. You can do that. That's something to keep in mind. You can do that. There are ways of being social and prioritizing that and giving importance to the social aspect. But it's a different story. Being in a room with someone is chemically different. And the way you learn things is different. And we're just using different parts of our brain by socializing the way we are right now. It's not, and communicating ideas and technique. It's not ideal, I would say, and also especially I do think of people joining the industry in these different times from when I joined them, completely different times in every aspect. Probably, it's not ideal. I don't think it's not as efficient as it is being in the same room with people.
Yeah, it's more organic, whereas now it would need to be more intentional of, hey, let's call and do that.
That's for sure. Logistically, it speaks for itself. I think also on a mental health level, on how we learn things and what we're used to communicate and how we're used to communicate, I think it's a completely different game.